Yay, I think we're good. Tiffany, welcome back.
Thanks.
I had so much fun with you the other night. I wanted to do this a second time and actually record it so we can share it with people who missed the live. So how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. I'm glad we get to do this the second time because now I feel like I've had a chance to think of more questions, and
Mhm.
I'm sure you have things that you didn't get to say the other night as well. But for those of the people watching now who weren't on our original interview, why don't you give us a little background about where you are, and how you got here?
Okay, so I'm based in Seattle, Washington, born and raised here. Um, I've done some traveling, and 4 years ago, I went to India. I had a really bad breakup, traveled in India for a year, and just was going on a journey of self discovery and learned a lot about Buddhism and Reiki, healing, and massage. And that's actually where I first learned about life coaching in a way. Like I've heard the term before, but I remember seeing someone doing a life coaching session, and that kind of stuck on my mind a little bit. And when I
Okay.
came back, I kind of had some thoughts about it. And I was interested in learning more and just figured, if I don't, like, I won't know unless I try. So let's just do it. And so I just joined.
Did you dive right in? I've never asked you that. Did you
Yeah.
go right? Okay.
So I think I talked to a couple graduates about it, and then the program started like the following week, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to do
Oh, that's
it.
nice. All right, we mentioned this before, but you're an Enneagram type, what, not a 6 because you dove right in.
I am the least like a 6.
Okay.
I am a combination of 2, the giver,
Okay.
4, the individualist, and 7, the enthusiast.
Okay. I'm going to say that was your 4-7 component that got you to dive right in. All right. So
Yes.
you came back from traveling, you dove into life coaching,
Mhm.
and did you have a clear picture for how you wanted that to morph into a career, or was it more an exploration?
I think it was more of an exploration. I just have a lot of interests, and I'm still kind of figuring out what I want to do long term. And um, yeah, I mean, fortunately, right now for my full time job, I am a weight loss coach, so I'm happy I get to coach full time, and I'm still doing life coaching on the side.
That's great. And you're also an artist in so many different forms. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've always been interested in art growing up. And in college, I took a black and white film photography class, and we got to develop our own negatives and make our own prints. So it was just an amazing experience to have a concept in my mind and then shoot it and then have a tangible print by the end of it. So I just loved that creative process and fell in love with photography. And so I started my own business in 2010 doing photography and working for a wedding photographer.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
I didn't realize that about your story. And you also have the watercolor art that you do. I don't know how much you're comfortable talking about that, but I love your watercolor art.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I started painting, I don't know, a little bit more a few years ago, just doing some self-portraits
Mhm.
and experimenting. And then during quarantine this year, I took a watercolor online course and then an acrylic painting class as well.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
so fun to hear about all the different things people have done during 2020, during the pandemic, because I know it's been a year that has shut a lot of things down in a lot of ways, and it's been a really, really rough year. But at the same time, I feel like each of us has gotten some sort of gift from it. There's something unexpected that has come out of it. Maybe we've discovered a little more of ourselves or more about our partners. But so for you, you got to dive in more to art, which is great. And you also have
Yeah, that's actually,
and you have your boutique now, your
yeah.
business ventures. So talk to us about that and how that's coming together.
Yeah, and just to touch on what you just said, I totally felt that way about the pandemic. Like it really um, brought out kind of like what I want to do and what like how I want to spend this time. And so I realized I want to focus on art. So that was actually a positive for me during this time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the boutique is something I felt inspired to do while I was in India. I came across the store that sold clothes and accessories made of organic cotton and hemp. And I just thought, like, wow, this is amazing. It would be great to have something like this back home and kind of like curate that myself. And so I started doing research probably back in like 2017, so a few years ago, but
Hmm.
it didn't really take off. I think there are always reasons to not do something. And I think at that time I was kind of talking myself out of it. And then more recently, there's this shop in Chinatown called Momo that has been around for 13 years. And I recently started going there again a couple months ago. And I found out that they were going to close down.
Yeah.
Um, and that just kind of reminded me of my own dreams of
Hmm.
opening up a store. And so this was beginning of September when I found out about Momo, and I just started dreaming, just started, talking to a friend about it, and he really encouraged me to do it. And was just really supportive. And so I just spent a day like thinking up what I want to do and how I'd want it to look. And then just started doing a lot of research, reaching out to wholesalers for products that I really like and that would fit in alignment with my eco friendly, sustainable kind of idea.
So what does
So,
that look like right now? And we should say the name too. The Peach Room.
yes, the
Yes.
Peach Room.
And we'll
And
post all that too in the Instagram and the comments so people can link to it later. But what are you selling right now? And talk a little bit about the organic fabric and things you're using, because I was geeking out on that the other night.
yeah, so right now I have masks that are made of tencel, organic cotton, and woven cotton. And tencel is a material made from wood pulp, and rayon is also made from wood pulp, but that goes through a highly chemicalized process and is not good for the environment. But tencel goes through a totally sustainable process in its creation,
Okay.
and it's biodegradable. So if you bury it in soil, it will decompose in 94 days.
So that just is fascinating to me because I had no idea. So that's great. You've got the versatility, I'm assuming washability too, and it's not adding to the landfill. All right, I
Exactly.
love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also have some smudge sticks, and that's made of all natural materials,
Right.
sage and Palo Santos. And for those of you that don't know, like that's for kind of clearing energy, clearing the air, and just bringing in some positive vibes.
Which we all need right now, especially this year, especially.
Yeah.
So in order to take all of your different passions, kind of the art and all this, and your desire to start a business, that took a lot of energy and planning. And as we mentioned the other night, some boundary setting probably to focus your energy in the right direction. So,
Mhm.
what kind of boundaries are you having to set in your own life to make this dream possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for me personally would be setting boundaries with my parents, just because they are more logical, realistic, reasonable, and I'm not so much like that.
Traditional, probably my parents a little more traditional. It's like the, hate to say old school, but a little more like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
okay.
Right. And I would say also choosing what to focus on and
Mhm.
allotting my time and resources to focus on the Peach Room for now. Because I also want to write a book, and I was going to enroll in another writing course for the year, but I decided not to do that and to put it on hold for now. Um, but yeah, going back to boundaries, I think it's it's hard to pursue your dreams, and it's important to have a strong support system, especially if you have doubts about it. So I know that, well, I have a strong feeling that my parents might not be too supportive of me starting a business in the middle of a pandemic while I'm in debt. so, so I have not told them yet about it. I think I'm just waiting for the right time, or maybe I'm just avoiding it.
No, I think
Um,
there's a fine line there, right? I talk to a lot of women in similar situations, right? You want to include family, friends in your dreams, but also it takes so much courage to go after a dream that if those people aren't fully in your corner, the last thing you need is more doubt, right? So even if it's someone who will eventually come to your corner, in the beginning, you need the people who are reasonable but supportive to kind of boost you up, because there are enough ways to sink your own ship, I think, when you're first going for something. You don't need anybody else poking holes in the dream. So
yes, exactly. That's exactly how it is.
so
Yeah.
eventually when this takes off, which it will, I'm sure you will tell them. And talk to me about the 5-year dream for this business. What would you like to see included in it?
Yeah, so eventually I would love to have a storefront and with a space large enough to host workshops.
Would this
And
be in
that's,
Seattle?
it would be in Seattle.
Okay. All right. So I have to get my plane ticket now. Keep going. Storefront in Seattle. I'm on board.
So workshops, with different topics, I think mostly around self-empowerment and self-esteem, self-love, and maybe life purpose. So I would want to incorporate that aspect to work with people, and also maybe have an adjoining photo studio. There's an idea I have for a workshop where I would work with people, for maybe a certain number of weeks.
Mhm.
And then at the end of that week, those weeks, we would do a photo shoot. So that way, we can capture the inner and outer beauty of the person.
Oh, I love it. And the transformation too. I think energetically there's a
Yes.
transformation. When you talk about this, I feel like you are running towards this dream with your arms open, and you're able to encompass the coaching part of you, the artistic side, all those things. And it feels like you can bring it all together. So many people out there are fighting the urge to just give themselves one label. I think there's a lot of pressure in society to say that this is what you do, this is who you are. I'm not getting that sense from you. So is that something you've had to work at, or?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think I just have a hard time labeling myself and figuring out exactly what's that one thing I want to do.
Yes.
So my solution has always been, well, I'll just do it all.
Right. Yeah. So what advice would you give to someone else who is multi-passionate like you, who just has that, oh, I kind of want to do this and I'm also interested in this?
Hmm.
Where's the balance between squirreling, as I call it in my house, where you're like, oh, wait, I want to do that, and embracing all the parts of yourself? Where is that balance?
Yeah, I think you just have to focus on maybe one or two things at a time. Ideally, probably one at a time, so you can develop your skills and your
Mhm.
craft. Um, but I think you could also, do multiple things at the same time if you have the time and resources.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so like I was working full time and then like taking writing classes at UW all of last year to start my book. And then like right now, I'm putting that on hold, but still doing photography, like a few gigs here and there, and when I have like coaching clients. So I think it's possible. Um, yeah, I think you just have to just go with what you want to focus on and follow your
And
heart.
a different kind of boundary again, right? It's the time boundary and finding that balance. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think that's a really good point. What's the scariest thing about going after this dream right now?
Oh, the scariest thing is
Did I put you on the spot?
failing.
Failing?
Yeah, yeah. Like, what if this doesn't work? Nobody buys anything that I have to sell, and it's just a flop. Like, I've invested this money and time and resources, and it doesn't work out. So I would say that's the biggest fear.
How do you
Um,
keep yourself going despite that fear?
yeah, I mean, I think support
Mm,
from people is really important.
right.
Um, like when I have self doubt, talking to someone that I trust to like be there for me is important. And I think also just taking positive action. So the other day I was feeling some doubt, like, is this going to work? It didn't really
Mhm.
seem to be too popular when I announced the website. So the next day I made phone calls to like local pumpkin patches to see if I could, set up a table and sell my products there.
Scrappy tenacity. This is my stuff, right? The good stuff.
Yeah,
You dig in and you find a way. Yes.
yeah. And there is a local um, farm, Fletcher Farms, who is now carrying my products. I just dropped off some inventory this morning,
Yay.
and so it's there. It'll be there until the end of October.
Oh, that's great. I love that. And
Yeah.
I can't believe I almost forgot to bring this back up. We talked the other night about your method for staying on track and really energetically focusing yourself and journaling. And I can't believe I almost forgot to ask you about that again. Describe
Mhm.
what you do to really kind of bring those dreams to life.
Yeah, I think one of them is just talking about it. I
Mhm.
think talking about it out loud to another person who is supportive. So that way, you're able to expand on your ideas and um, get some like positive affirmation that, it's okay to dream. And then just writing it down. Like I love to journal in blank sketchbooks because then I can draw, I can do mind maps, I can make lists, and I'm not bound by any lines.
Yes.
And so I love journaling. So also writing out my visions. So like what would be my ideal store? What would it look like? What would it feel
Mhm.
like? How would I decorate it? What kind of music would I play? And just really visualizing it in my mind and feeling it.
I think it sounds hokey for anyone who doesn't do it, but for those of us who do actually do that, it's like, why wouldn't you, right? I think the studies show you are 65% more likely to achieve the goals that you put into writing. And
Mm.
so I do it all the time. And everything that I've written down has happened, right? But it's the stuff we kind of keep in our head that we don't commit to that just stays in the dream phase. So I think, you can all roll our eyes if you hear somebody say, write it down or do a vision board or whatever. But the power in that is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think what happens is when you write it down, it just becomes more real.
Hmm.
And when you write it, well, for me, like I'm kind of evoking these emotions that come with the words and how I want to express that and the ideas. And so I think when it's more solidified in your mind, it seems more achievable. And I think your thoughts dictate your words and actions. And so if you're constantly thinking about it and it's just in the forefront of your mind,
Yeah.
then you're going to, your actions and words will reflect that and you will be able to make it happen.
That was so well said. What advice would you give to someone else who maybe they still have the dream in their mind, but they haven't told anyone? It seems to feel so far fetched. If you could
Mhm.
give that person a piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say, write it down or have a conversation with someone you trust and just, explore that and allow yourself to explore that.
Mhm.
Give yourself permission to dream. And and I think a lot of times people put things off and they think tomorrow or later, like when I have enough money, when XYZ. And the truth is, we just don't know how much time we have. And I think I kind of talked about this the other night, but what always puts things into perspective for me is the idea of death. That, you know, am I going to, at the end of my life, like be happy with the decisions I made? Or am I going to wonder, like, oh, what if I had taken that risk? And what if I had done that to try and fulfill my dreams? And I don't want to have any regrets.
Yes.
And, but I think, and it can be hard because it's scary. And I think we all want, you know, positive confirmation that things are going to work out and everything's
We
going to
want
be
the guarantee.
okay. Yeah, we always want a guarantee.
Yeah.
But the truth is there is no guarantee, and the only way to know is by doing it and
Yes.
trying it.
And I think you're an excellent example of that, just going for it. And also, you're illustrating the point that the journey is not linear, right? It was a trip to India that took you to a coaching program that kind of snowballed into this great thing now that encompasses everything you want to do. And it's pretty easy for us to say, okay, this is what I want. There has to be only one way to get there. And there's so much of it that's in the journey, just taking that first step and seeing where it leads and kind of letting the dream blossom rather than making the dream a highway in one direction.
Yeah, definitely. And I think some people are lucky, like they know what they want to do and they are able to just achieve that one singular thing. But I know for me, I've always struggled with like, what do I really want to do with my life and career? And it has been a journey,
And
and
there's
it's
so many
okay.
options too. Yes, it's a
Yeah,
more.
yeah, there is. Yeah.
It has been so good talking to you again, and tell everybody, where can we find you? There are a million different spots, but where would you like us to find you on social media
Yeah.
or everywhere else?
So on Instagram, I am the.peachroom, and my website is peach-room.com.
Okay.
And my personal Instagram is the Tiffany Tong.
Hey, and so if I go online now, I can order a mask. And
Yes.
okay. Yay, I'm excited. This was great. Thank you for spending time with me, not just once, but twice.
Of course.
You gave me part of your Thursday night and now part of your weekend. I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can connect again. And when things are thriving for you, I want to have you back on. And so you can just remind people this is what it looks like in the beginning, and you'll be back on later when you feel like, yeah, I've done the thing and now I'm on to bigger and better things. So
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been an
yes.
honor.
Sure. Have a great rest of your weekend. And everybody, you can find more information about Tiffany in the comments below. Reach out to her on Instagram and DM us if you have any questions.